Hello, I'm Paige Sabo with United Way of Mid-Mix Counties, and today we have with us Kelly Weber, the Executive Director of the Hope Center and the 10th Judicial Children's Advocacy Center, a United Way partner agency. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month and also Child Abuse Prevention Month. So Kelly's going to talk with us about the things they are doing there and how they're raising awareness this month. Kelly, if you want to tell us like the mission of the Hope Center and what all's been going on there and how long you've been there.
Sure. Thanks for having me. It's always good to get out in the community and raise awareness for the issues that we have at the Hope Center. So the Hope Center's mission is to really serve victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse, and severe child abuse. And so we really are looking at how can we serve the community in that regard and how we can change generational violence from occurring over and over again by servicing clients and making sure that they can have a way to heal from the trauma in which they've been exposed to. I have been with the Hope Center for 5 years, almost 5 years. 4.5 of those years I was the assistant director, and for the last 6 months I have been the executive director. So we're
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so we are been really trying to beef up our awareness in the community and what that looks like for our agency. Sexual assault awareness, we have the Till Heal project. If you go by our agency on West Madison Avenue, you'll see the Till shoes out in front of our sexual assault center. And those represent the victims we've served this year for adult sexual assault. There are 47 shoes for 47 of our clients this year in our community. So that's one of the ways we are raising awareness for that. We are also, we spoke on the campus at TWU and did convocation there and talked about sexual assault in our program and how we serve victims that way. We have the, right beside the Sexual Assault Center, we have the Children's Advocacy Center where you see the pinwheels, and a lot of people driving down through there see the pinwheels going and they're like, oh wow, the pinwheels and the blue people. But those represent the number of clients we saw at the Children's Advocacy Center. So there are 286 pinwheels out there that represent the 286 clients that we have seen this year at the Children's Advocacy Center. And those are all Monroe County, McMinn County clients. So,
wow. Well, you all are serving such a vital need in our community. Give us a little bit of the history of how the Hope Center came about.
Sure. In 1993, United Way actually did a needs assessment for the community, and there was a need for a domestic violence shelter for clients that were victims of domestic violence to be able to have somewhere to go in order to get safe and to be able to work through the trauma of being in a domestic violence relationship. And so we were really focusing on how can we help those clients in that regard of finding a way to transition into a life that doesn't have domestic violence. But when talking to those clients, we saw that there was a lot of sexual assault as well. And so out of the domestic violence program grew the adult sexual assault program. And then in 2000, there was a movement across the state of Tennessee to open children's advocacy centers so that we're serving children who have allegations of child sex abuse, severe physical abuse, or have witnessed a violent crime in a way that allowed them to only have to tell their story one time. And so in that, we grew out the Children's Advocacy Center where clients, children who have those allegations with DCS or law enforcement come in and have forensic interviews or forensic medical exams. And our families are able to get services through our family advocates and counseling services that we have on site and things like that.
How has COVID this past year, how has that impacted your services? Did you see more clients or a decrease in clients? Or
so in domestic violence, we saw a decrease, and that was national. There was a national decrease in domestic violence reporting. Just because when COVID hit, there was that need to shelter in place, and when you're sheltering in place, then you're sheltering in that relationship. So there wasn't a good way to get out at that point. So all of our domestic violence services kind of slacked off a little bit through that. They have picked back up, and we're servicing the average number of clients that we were doing last year about the same time. But our children's piece, we really were afraid that that number would decrease because children weren't in school, because they had, doing virtual school, those kind of things. And so we were afraid, as mandatory reporters, educators are our number one referral source. And so we were really afraid that the number would drop drastically. But what we found is that community members, due to prevention and the awareness in the community, they were paying attention and they were the ones reporting.
Oh, wow.
And so our numbers are actually up this year.
Okay.
So it was really good to see that the community was kind of stepping up and kind of looking out for each other.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I think we slowed down as a community, and we're more aware of what was going on around us, and I think that helped make sure our kids were safe.
Yeah. So what is a victim that comes to the center? What's kind of the process they have to go through once they get to the Hope Center?
Yeah, so as soon as a client comes in any of our programs, the first thing they're met with is an advocate. And that advocate is there to kind of walk them through everything that we have and kind of the process in which we're servicing clients. So, from the time they walk into the door, they have someone with them that's kind of explaining that process and what, our greatest fear is the unknown. And so if we can create a pattern of where we are meeting those clients where they are and kind of explaining that on the front side, that fear kind of is alleviated, and you're better able to, a client is better able to grasp what services you have if there's that fear is relieved, so.
You talk about you went to TWU to speak to some groups. You all do that, like educational type, speaking to different organizations and groups. How often do you do that? Can anyone just call
You can call.
Get information? Okay.
Sure, you can call any of them. We have a lot of numbers. You can call the shelter number or the Children's Advocacy number, and ask to speak to any one of us, and we'll set up, we do child abuse prevention awareness with Darkness to Light. It's a program that has been, research based and all those things, and it talks about how to prevent child abuse. And we do those a lot with schools or daycares or churches or the YMCA. We do, they do mandatory reporting, anything like that that is constant with kids. And so we do those kind of trainings. We also do mandatory reporting trainings for anyone who is dealing with children, because we're all mandatory reporters. And so we do those kind of trainings. We do adverse childhood experience trainings for community members, and that kind of goes in with like your ALICE report. And so it's like, how can we look at children, and how can we start looking at how can we help them at an early age so that we are alleviating problems in adulthood and in relationships and those kind of things. We talk to civic groups, we talk to churches, we'll talk to anyone who will listen to us is what we do. We also have, sexual assault awareness trainings to where, teen dating violence, domestic violence. We will talk to anyone who will listen to us about any of our topics. It's a hard topic, and not everyone wants to listen. Yeah. Or it's not that they don't want to listen. Unless it's affecting them, it's really hard to bring to the forefront. And so we really try to get out there just to have that conversation. The more you talk about it, the less power it has.
Right. Well, we thank you for all the good work that you're doing, the Hope Center and the Children's Advocacy Center. It's such a need in our community, and it's such a blessing to have those organizations in our community. And if you have any questions about the Hope Center or the Children's Advocacy Center, please call Kelly.
Yes, we'll be more than glad to come out and talk to you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.